Well, General Motors' financial restructuring plan is getting a thumbs up from Wall Street this morning, but a bad review from the White House. GM could lay off up to 14,000 workers, including 15% of its salaried employees. The auto industry giant will stop production at 5 of its factories in Michigan, Ohio, Maryland, Ontario, Canada.
Luxury and compact sedans that had sluggish sales, including the Cadillac CT6 and the Chevy Cruze, will be discontinued. The Cruze was the only car built at the GM plant in Warren, Ohio. In July of last year, President Trump told GM workers in Ohio not to move because all the jobs would be back.
He said yesterday he told GM CEO Mary Barra that he was upset about the decision. Hours later at a rally in Mississippi, the president still talked about creating hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs during his administration.
The previous administration said, oh, manufacturing jobs, that'll never happen. I kept saying, what's he talking about? Manufacturing. We got to make things, right? They said manufacturing jobs would never come back. You'd need a magic wand. Well, we found the magic wand.
In a statement, Barra said the decision helps GM be highly agile, resilient, and profitable while giving the company flexibility to invest in the future.
Leigh Gallagher is Fortune Magazine's senior editor-at-large and joins us for more on this. Leigh, so help explain this.
Sure.
Because revenue is up at GM. They've had a huge windfall from the president's tax cut, and yet these huge layoffs. Why?
Yeah, well, there are three major things that the car industry and GM are facing. One is car sales are slowing. That is a shift after many years of the past 3 years in particular. They've really surged, but there's changes afoot. The second thing is we don't like sedans anymore. Four-door passenger cars are going out the window with such a degree that it's even taken the car industry by surprise. If you look at what's replacing them, guess what, is sales of SUVs. Look at the roads around you. They're everywhere. And if you look at the chart, sedans are going like this, and SUVs it's like a giant X. And so that GM is chock full of sedans. So it is readjusting for the future. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is that it is really talking about the future. You know, the future is autonomous cars and self-driving and electric cars, and that stuff costs a lot of money. That is where things are going. GM and Ford have been they epitomize the changes that are happening in our economy, where tech is changing everything. And they're trying to not get left behind, but actually try to lead this. And that is going to take a tremendous pivot. And so they've already been doing a lot with that. But Mary Barra is saying we are going to need to do a lot more. So they're going to pour money into that.
You know what, Leigh, it's tough to see the agony on the workers' face when they come out and they're talking about losing their jobs. But I'm thinking about what Mary Barra must be thinking right now. Is there a way to look at it another way, that perhaps she is in fact saving the company?
Definitely. And I think that's why you saw the reaction from Wall Street. I mean,
because the stocks went up.
The stock went up. And a lot of analysts say that this is something that is overdue at GM, this kind of restructuring. But yes, she is taking the time right now when things haven't really fallen yet. You know, things are not dramatic yet. But, you know, she sees where the trends are going. And she said in the statement that she's, you know, going to try to make these moves while things are still going well to sustain us should there be a downturn, and to, you know, help take us into the future. So absolutely. I mean, you know, it's hard for these workers, but this is what's happening in so many industries. This is why we talk so much about the need to reskill workers. Well, the jobs for the future are not the jobs that we have had forever. The changes are so rapid and so significant to so many industries.
And there's a tension between politicians who say nothing's going to change, we'll protect what you have, and business choices which are about the future, which sometimes cause this churn. But you talk about retraining. In this case, it looks like they want to hire coders for these new electric cars in the future. Why not can you retrain?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, to some degree you can. The interesting thing is a lot of these are salaried workers, so designers, product developers, and you know, those people may be able to find, you know, there's always going to be a market for designers, I would think. On the coding side, you could do the reskilling. Some of this involves AI, which is a whole thing in and unto itself. And there are people in school right now who are just studying AI, and this is going to be maybe the path for them. So I think there is some reskilling that's possible, but not for everyone.
Did the president's tariffs make a difference here?
Yes, they did. In fact, so they raised the cost of raw materials that GM needs, steel for its cars.
Made it harder for them.
Made it harder for them and more expensive for them. And earlier this year, GM cut its profit forecast for the year because for that reason. So that, rising interest rates, there are a few other externalities, shall we say, that
Perhaps
are also
warning signs
hitting
of a
the
slowing
company.
economy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Leigh Gallagher, thank you
Thanks
for
a
coming
lot.
this morning.
Thanks for having me.